Rick.
Hey, Gracie, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thank you. Thank you. What you got
Awesome.
today?
Well, we've been talking so much about your models and strategies, but today I was wondering if you could actually tell me more about you personally
Uh,
and how you came to Vistage in the first place.
oh, wow. Well, okay, you ready? That's a story.
Yes.
Well, I'll start at the beginning because I do think there's a thread here of, who we are and
Yeah.
really understanding who we are as a core component of being a more powerful leader. And so,
Mm.
I'll share with you a little bit of what I've shared with my CEOs. So I'm a New Englander. Raised in Massachusetts, a small New England town of 1,800 people.
Cool.
We did two things. We skied in the winter and played tennis in the summer. My grandfather was a farmer. The other worked in textiles. So I was fourth generation on both sides in this little New England town. Great place to grow up and be raised. I enjoyed football, so wanted to play football in college and couldn't play for Division 1 or two.
Huh.
So I was looking at Division 3 schools and went to Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Yeah, wonderful school, small liberal arts school. Had a great time. Played ball there, and like everybody, was interested in medical school and biology and all that good stuff.
no.
And really, a turning point for me was my sophomore year. I was doing a January term, a 1 month course at Harrisburg Hospital in Pennsylvania. I worked in the dialysis unit. And like a good science student, I'm trying to understand why people would do better than others, live or not. And we had a man and wife couple who were the nurses who ran this dialysis unit since 1958. So they remember constructing their own filters. And as new patients would come in, they would say, well, we think they'd do well, or I think they're going to have a hard time with this. And I wanted to understand why, thinking it would had something to do with science. And they were very matter of fact about it. They said they just don't have the will. They just don't have the will to live and make it through this difficult process. And so that just stood me on my head.
Mm.
So I went back to school that spring and I talked to a bunch of professors and I said, what's that about? So I had a major shift in life to trying to understand the psychology, did a lot with philosophy, theology, and understanding really values and behaviors and trying to get underneath this impact of how we think and its impact on how we live. That led to exploring organizational ethics, and um, and so what do you do with that? Well, you go to graduate school. So I chose to go to Yale. The divinity school there had a great program in conjunction with the business school, and so I studied organizational ethics. And during my second year, I launched a program with a postdoc and a PhD fellow. And we explored what corporations were doing to articulate their values. And the last person I brought in was a professor from Berkeley, Charles McCoy, who was at Trinity Church in New York, down on Wall Street. And he was the founding director of a new outreach ministry called the Center for Ethics and Corporate Policy. And Charles said, so Rick, what are you doing this summer? And he said, why don't you come down to New York and keep the shop open? I said, oh, that sounds like fun. So Maris and I talked about it, and off to New York we go. So I was at Trinity for 2 years. And one of the people on our advisory board was the CEO of a paper company, Champion International, who I had worked with in graduate school. And one day he said, so when are you going to get a real job? I said, well, when you offer me one. and touche. So he did, and I then shifted my career to the paper industry and Champion International, and so I spent 20 years there, learning from some of the best people in the industry about all kinds of tools and techniques of organization design and development that really create high performance work systems. And it was in my work at Champion that I realized the power of meaning making in the workplace. That, sure, people want to be well compensated. What people are really motivated by is whether they feel as though they're making a difference, that what they're doing is meaningful and gives purpose to their lives and to the world. And I really was able to experience that. Around the year 2000, we were in conversations with a Finnish Swedish firm to merge, become the largest forest products company in the world. And International Paper didn't want to see that created. It was a purely defensive measure. And just 4 days before the completion of the merger, we were bought by International Paper. I chose not to stay with International Paper. Had a great opportunity to go with Delta Consulting in New York. David Nadler and company was just getting my legs, just coming out of 1 year of training and development on their methodologies, and 9/11 happened. I was there in the city. I saw the second tower fall from 52nd Street, and not many were left. The consulting industry kind of blew up, and within 9 months, it was only partners. But they helped us to land. I went with the healthcare company, Bon Secours Health System here in Maryland. I had a wonderful, fun run at Bon Secours for about 12 or 13 years, where again, it was about meaning making in the workplace. And in Bon Secours' case, that was easy to do. It's a mission driven organization owned by Catholic nuns. And the very name of the company means good help. So good help to those in need was what we were about.
Yeah.
So had a wonderful opportunity there. And around the year 2013, 2012, I worked with the CEO to restructure the Bon Secours and brought in a consultant to help us with that, an old friend of mine, Stu Winby. And along the way, Stu and I decided to create Spring Network, consulting firm out in Palo Alto, along with 6 or 7 other people doing that kind of organization design work,
Great.
primarily in healthcare. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the history. So 2018 came along, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, lymphoma, and so that
Oh,
took me
big.
out of the picture for about 2 years.
Oh,
And so in 2019, I started asking myself, so what is it I do want to do? And I
yeah.
was doing some consulting, executive coaching, working with Gallup. But I called an old friend of mine about Vistage, and he said, "Yeah, you should take a look." So I went to Vistage Academy, and here I am, a Vistage chair. And one of the things Vistage asked is, so what inspires you? What's your reason for doing this work,
Yeah.
working with other CEOs? And I have to go back to something my father used to always say: be careful what your dad tells you, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, it was pretty good. And he said, the greatest measure of success is the number of people that you help make successful, however they choose to define it. So that's really what has stuck with me. And it's why I do what I do. It's why I find meaning in the work that I'm doing. And my goal is to help others discover their journey and where they're getting meaning making from the work that they're doing.
You've
Long
had an
story.
incredible journey. Yeah,
Long
that's
story.
really, really incredible, Rick. Thank you so
Oh
much
well.
for giving us,
Yeah, you're
just a
welcome.
glimpse into your incredible life.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for asking, Gracie.
Of course.
Yeah. Bye bye.